Dr. Kyle Thorne had been staring at the Vexnari quantum stabilizer for 37 years, 4 months, and 16 days. The alien device hummed with a frequency that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously, its crystalline core pulsing with energies that defied human comprehension. According to the Vexnari Collective, it was impossible to repair once damaged. They had been wrong before. The Vexnari were an ancient species, their civilization spanning across 14 galaxies and existing for over 2 million Earth years. Their technology was so advanced that to human eyes it appeared indistinguishable from magic. When their greatest scientific minds declared something impossible, lesser species typically accepted it as cosmic law. Kyle was not a lesser mind. Ambassador Zethkar, a towering crystalline being whose thoughts moved through photonic networks, materialized in the laboratory's observation chamber. The alien's form shimmered with internal light as it communicated through direct neural interface. The human persists in futile endeavors. Zethkar's thoughts resonated in Kyle's mind. Our greatest engineers across millennia have examined the stabilizer. The quantum cascade failure cannot be reversed. The device's core mathematics have collapsed into paradox. Kyle didn't look up from his calculations, his fingers dancing across holographic equations that filled the air around him. Your engineers think in 16 dimensions. The stabilizer operates in 17. Impossible. Our perceptual matrices extend beyond dimensional boundaries. We perceive all layers of reality. You perceive all layers of your reality, Kyle corrected, finally turning to face the alien ambassador. You've been looking at this problem for 2 million years through the lens of Vexnari physics. You've never considered that the device might operate according to principles your species hasn't discovered. The crystalline being's form flickered with what humans had learned to recognize as amusement. The arrogance of youth. Your species has existed for mere thousands of years. You have barely begun to understand the fundamental forces of existence. Kyle smiled, an expression that had puzzled aliens for decades. That's exactly why I can fix it. The quantum stabilizer had been humanity's first gift from the Galactic Collective, a device capable of maintaining stable wormholes across intergalactic distances. It had functioned perfectly for 50 years before the cascade failure, suddenly shutting down and trapping 17 human colonies in distant galaxies with no way home. The Vexnari had explained the problem with mathematical certainty. The device's quantum matrices had collapsed into an irreversible paradox state. The mathematics themselves had become self-contradictory, creating logical loops that prevented any form of repair. They offered humanity newer, more advanced transportation methods, but nothing that could reach the stranded colonies. 17 million humans, abandoned because of an impossible repair. Kyle had dedicated his life to proving them wrong. The collective had indulged him, providing resources and training. They found his persistence, amusing a primitive mind, attempting to solve problems that had stymied galactic civilization's greatest intellects. But Kyle had something the Vexnari didn't: ignorance. While the aliens saw 17 dimensions and calculated impossibilities, Kyle saw a broken machine. He didn't approach it as a manifestation of universal law, but as a device built by sentient beings to solve a specific problem. Every tool, no matter how advanced, was created by minds that thought in patterns, and patterns could be understood. "The stabilizer isn't broken," Kyle announced, his voice cutting through the laboratory's quantum hum. "It's stuck." "Elaborate," Zethkar commanded, the ambassador's form brightening with interest. "Your ancestors built this device using Vexnari mathematical principles, but quantum mechanics at this scale doesn't care about the mathematics you use to describe it, only about the underlying reality. The cascade failure didn't break the device. It revealed that your mathematical framework has limitations." Kyle gestured to the equations surrounding him. I've been approaching this using human mathematical principles specifically. Concepts your species never developed because you never needed them. Chaos theory, fuzzy logic, quantum uncertainty as a feature rather than a bug. These concepts are known to us. They are primitive approximations of more elegant mathematical truths. Are they? Cal's hands moved through the holographic interface, restructuring the stabilizer's quantum matrices using equations that made the Vexnari ambassador's form flicker with confusion. Your elegant mathematics assume that reality follows logical patterns. But what if the stabilizer's core operates in a state where logic itself is fluid? The device's humming changed, its frequency shifting into ranges that human ears couldn't detect, but that made the laboratory's quantum sensors scream with excitement. For the first time in 37 years, the crystalline core pulsed with new patterns. "Impossible," Zethkar whispered, though the ambassador's certainty wavered. "You keep using that word," Kale said, his fingers working faster now as the stabilizer responded to his adjustments. "But impossible just means you haven't figured out how yet." The breakthrough came not through brilliant insight, but through something far more human: stubbornness. Kyle had spent decades staring at the device, not trying to understand its advanced principles, but simply watching what it did. He had noticed something: the Vexnari had missed. The device didn't fail randomly. It failed in patterns that repeated every 2.7 seconds. That suggested not chaos but rhythm. And rhythm suggested that the device was trying to communicate. "It's been trying to tell us how to fix it," Kyle realized aloud. "The cascade failure isn't a malfunction, it's a diagnostic sequence. The device has been running repair protocols for 37 years, waiting for someone to notice." The quantum stabilizer's core suddenly blazed with light that existed in colors human eyes had never seen. Wormhole signatures began materializing throughout the laboratory as the device automatically re-established connections to the 17 stranded colonies. Zethkar's crystalline form stood frozen, the ambassador's photonic thoughts struggling to process what had just occurred. "You solved in moments what our civilization deemed permanently impossible." Kale finally looked up from the stabilizer, exhaustion and triumph warring in his expression. "I didn't solve anything. I just listened to what the machine was trying to tell us." Sometimes, the solution isn't about being smarter. It's about being willing to admit you might be wrong about everything. The first transmission from the stranded colonies came through 17 minutes later, voices of humans who had given up hope decades ago, now crying with joy as they realized they could finally come home. As reports flooded in from across the galaxy, confirming that the stabilizer network was fully operational again, Kyle allowed himself one moment of satisfaction. The Vexnari had been wrong. Impossible was just another word for haven't tried the right approach yet. And sometimes, the right approach was simply refusing to accept that something couldn't be done. "The human blinks," Zethkar observed, watching Kyle's tired eyes close for a moment's rest, and reality reshapes itself around his perception. Kyle smiled without opening his eyes. "Welcome to human logic, Ambassador, where impossible just means we're getting started."